Before I begin with this video, I highly request that you guys wear headphones so that you guys get the full effect on learning on what I'm trying to teach you guys in this episode. Also, if you're not a fan of introductions and you just want to go straight to the content, or you were trying to revert and relearn something, I will timestamp every category that I am talking about. With that said, let's get started. Hello again, my beautiful subscribers. It's great to see you guys as always. And for anyone that's new to the channel, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. For the last few months, I have been very active on a subreddit called NewTubers. Now, because I've been very active on this and I have been trying to help others on their audio, it just occurred to me, I am seeing the same complaints or questions, and I thought, okay, why am I not just giving back to everybody and do it all in one simple series? The reason I'm doing this is because I absolutely love working with audio. It's a part of my passion of being a voice actor and a voiceover artist. And I thought, so many people are not educated or do not notice how much better their audio could sound like. Now, if you are someone who spends so much time trying to edit and clean their audio, way more than it was by just hitting record, you have a problem. And by default, a lot of inexperienced people either rely on certain softwares or plugins trying to do all that work for them, when really what they should be focusing on is solving the problem and not trying to just do a simple solution towards the end. Which is why I decided to start this series, so that you can at least have clean audio, or at the very least, make it much more cleaner and better than it was before. I am showing you how to make the best raw audio, because if we can tackle that, then editing is going to be so much easier, or there's going to be much less to do. So with this being the first part of the series, I decided that we are going to start with sound treatment. So let's get started. Exactly what is sound treating or doing acoustic treatment to a space? Well, there are two things you need to consider. The first one is sound blocking, and the second one is sound absorbing. Now, the one I'm not going to go too much into is sound blocking, so I'll talk about that first. What will consist of your sound blocking is pretty much whatever space you're recording in. So by default, the floor, the ceiling, and the walls. And sound blocking's job is to prevent any sound that is entering your space or leaving it. This usually consists of hard, dense, solid materials, whether it's drywall, wood, concrete, fiberglass, anything that's hard and dense. Most of us don't have the funds, resources, or the knowledge to just build a whole new structure from the ground up. So since we're working with what we have, let's assume by default you're using your bedroom. What is surrounding you is drywall, carpet, or tile in the ceiling. And unfortunately for most of us, also windows. Now ideally, you want a room that doesn't have any windows whatsoever, because glass is the worst material. It easily allows any sound to go in and out. Now, typically the rule of thumb when recording in a space is bigger is better. If you're just recording vocals, a bedroom is plenty of space. There are a lot of cases where I see people recording in a living room. If you don't have a choice, fine. But if you do have a choice, because usually you do have options, I would highly suggest either a bedroom or a walk-in closet. We want the sound to travel, but we don't want it to go so far that it is gonna guarantee us echo and reverb and we can't stop it. If you do happen to have multiple rooms to choose from, choose the quietest one. That means farthest away from the heating and air conditioning unit, from the freeway, wherever there's outside noise, choose the quietest room you can. If there are any open doors whatsoever, close them. And know that there's still a crack underneath the door when it's closed, so use a pillow or a blanket or a few towels to stuff underneath it, because we're trying to contain as much sound inside as we can. Now we come to the subject of sound absorption. This is the subject that a lot of people either misinterpret or get confused by. Sound absorbing is not soundproofing whatsoever. Sound absorbing is the means on absorbing as much sound as it can to deflect the sound and remove any excess echo or reverb that is really unnecessary, which is why in a lot of studios you see the walls completely surrounded and just padded up to the core with different types of foam. Anywhere there is a hard surface in your room, try to pad it up with any type of soft material. Blankets, towels, mattresses, pillows. A lot of people already have the necessary items in their house that can help them treat their room. Reverting back to what I said about using a walk-in closet, that closet's full of clothes, full of soft material that can easily absorb the sound, which is why a lot of people will start in those. One thing that can be overlooked is if you're recording in a space that doesn't have any carpet. Carpet is extremely helpful in this. If you are forced to record in a space that doesn't have carpet, whether it's a basement or a bathroom or kitchen, just put a blanket or moving blanket underneath you. But if you have to use a regular room, any hard surface that you actually can cover up easily, which is like a desk, TV stand, any furniture with a hard surface, use towels or blankets. When it comes to the glass from the windows in your room, I highly suggest, if you have the means to, get sound dampening curtains or at least thick curtains. Either one should work just fine for you. Now, if you do happen to have the resources or funds to be actually able to purchase some foam pads that you can put on the walls, you're usually going to have two choices. You get the simple 1-inch foam, as you can see here. It is extremely thin. Or you have the choice of the 2-inch. I made the mistake when I built this booth a year ago with the little experience that I had. Because I wanted to save money, I used the 1-inch foam. Do not get it. It's practically useless. It's much more effective if you get the 2-inch foam. Again, get the 2-inch foam if you can. It is way more effective. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting you guys to pad up the room like those mattress rooms in an insane asylum, but at least do as much treatment as you can. That way you're limiting the amount of sound that is going to bounce all over the place. If you add enough absorption and barrier, you will get little to almost no echo in return. Just so you guys have a better understanding of how your audio sounds like in an untreated space to a treated space, here are some examples. Now, for a lot of you guys, I want you to listen very carefully, because right now, I've just stepped right outside of the booth into my regular bedroom. This is the slight echo you are hearing at the end of each sound that I make, which is why you guys can clearly hear the difference once the microphone has been placed inside of a space that has little to no reflective surfaces exposed whatsoever and has been properly treated with the right amount of acoustic absorptive materials to come across so much clearer to your listener. Now, if you've done your absolute best to your room or whatever recording space you use, and you still hear enough echo where you're not satisfied, there are a couple creative ways you can go about this. Some people have actually recorded while putting an entire blanket over themselves. This is a hit or miss. If you're in too much of a small enclosed space, you can sound really muffled and boxed up, and that's not the kind of clear sound you want to go for. Another method you could go about this is just going to your local home supply store and just get a bunch of PVC pipe and create an actual boxed out frame of the plastic pipe and just fully drape and wrap it tightly with either mattresses or moving blankets, and that is a great starting point. Now remember guys, your results are going to vary because it depends on what resources you guys have, where you're recording, and what type of equipment you're using. But if you implement this correctly, your audio will sound much better. Now today's topic was just about sound treatment, which was sound absorbing and sound blocking. In the next episode, I'm actually going to be talking about your ambient and background noise that you hear in your audio, what we can do to prevent it, and how we can minimize and manage it. Guys, I just want to thank you for taking the time to sit down and listen and let me help educate you with the knowledge that I know of what I learned about how to make cleaner or clean audio. It's something I want to do for a long time, but I knew it was going to take a ton of work, so I made sure to make the time so I could make this happen for you guys. And I love you guys. I have no problem giving back to you. Once again, thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll see you in the next part of the series. Love you all. Take care.